today I want to make sure that you get plugged into great information. This is our
Success Masters event.
We do these as an impromptu event to give out great information quickly so you don't miss these opportunities. And more importantly, make sure you take some great notes. We call these a flash event. This information was just sent out about an hour ago. But I will tell you that our 4 speakers today are incredibly gifted, all super talented. You'll learn once again about the power of effective negotiation skills. You'll learn about how to revision your vision. You'll understand how to turn your message into some money, how to monetize your passion. And of course, you'll discover how to get out of debt and get on the path for even more financial freedom. So if you could do me a favor while you're watching this, if you like what this is about, take the opt-in that we sent to you and just share it on your social media. Because I will promise you this, you will leave with great nuggets. And if you'll stay all the way to the end, I have a special gift for everybody that's valued at more than $297 just for staying the course. So I want to make sure that I welcome everyone, first of all, and thanks for being on. So I know some people are logging in from their phones, from homes, whatever it is. We've got some great, incredible information. So we want to dive right, we want to start right away. And I'll tell you that our first speaker, she is absolute dynamo in the space she's in. She has literally helped companies not only save millions of dollars, some companies she saved north of $100 million in revenue, and they were able to sell it because she helped keep them alive. But more important, she's 100% committed to helping those that would like to learn how to use effective negotiation skills to win in your next negotiation, whether it's personal, business, whatever it might be. You know, we teach for effect. And once again, this is Bill Walsh with Powerteam International. We teach a lot about that. The quality of your communication will dictate the quality of your life. And so when you get to learn from this individual, she has courses and programs. And if you get a chance to use any of those courses or programs, you better get plugged into them. But I will tell you this, that she is a Harvard MBA. She is absolutely brilliant in her space. She's always about giving back and making a difference. She's committed to helping anyone that's serious about becoming a better negotiator make more money. So if you like the idea of having heightened communication skills, getting even better at any communication, any conversation you have, you better get ready to take a lot of notes because she will share with you a lot of good stuff. But this is one thing I will tell you, do not miss on this. In the early part of her presentation, she's going to give a gift away. You better take that gift. And then, of course, at the end of the presentation, she'll give the gift away one more time, and it might even include a consult with her and the opportunity to work with her directly. So what I'd like you to do right now is I'd like to give your full attention, get totally plugged in, get totally tuned in, and make sure you really, if you're sitting at home, I'd like you guys to give a nice round of applause like this, give it up nice and loud, because we have the one and only Christine McKay with us in the house today. So Christine, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm awesome. Good to have you. Let me be on the spotlight. I'll mute my line. Go ahead. It's all your mic.
Thank you so much, Bill Walsh. This has been amazing, and I love working with Bill, and I'm always excited to be on stage with Bill. I've learned so much from him, and I see Cheryl and Michelle are also on the phone. Bill's got an amazing team behind him, so I appreciate everybody here who's joined us for this flash event. This is super exciting, and to pull this together so quickly and to see so many of you on the line. I am so excited to be here to talk to you about a topic that I absolutely love. And I'm told that kind of makes me a little weird sometimes, but that's okay, because my hope is that you fall in love with the topic of negotiation as much as I am in love with the topic of negotiation. So we're going to talk today about 3 core things that have to be present for you to have a successful negotiation every single time. And we are going to do that in a way where actually, if you text renegotiate to 26786, you are in for a big treat. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that, because we build programs to help you be a better negotiator. So let me ask you a couple questions. One, if you're not on screen, and you can take yourself off screen, that would be great. And the reason is that we're here talking about negotiation, and negotiation is about communication and relationship. And 93% of communication, according to UCLA, is nonverbal and tone. So seeing you is actually critically important in any negotiation. So if you can take yourself off your video, I would really be grateful if you could do that so I could see you. And we can connect better by doing that. So let me ask you a quick question. So if you're off screen, you can just raise your hand. If you're in, if you're off, if you're not, if I can't see you, type a 1 in the chat. Who here has a parent?
Got that one.
All right, that's it. That's the only question that I needed to know. That means 100% of you are negotiators, every single one of you. The thing is that you might not be as good at it now as you were when you were a little kid. And if you have kids at home, trust me, you look at your children, because I get this all the time, and parents say to me constantly, my kids are the best negotiators. And you know what? They are. And you were once too. And you may not be that way anymore. And that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the 3 things that are going to make it, that are going to be hugely important for you to win at every one of your negotiations. But if it's okay, I'd like to share a little bit of my story. So Bill mentioned that I went to Harvard, which sounds amazing. And trust me, it absolutely was a life-altering experience and one of the greatest honors of my life to be able to graduate from Harvard Business School. But my road there was not a traditional road. When I was 19, after having had a very successful high school career, I found out that I was pregnant and I lost my job, got evicted from my house, and was living out of the back of my 1972 Chrysler Newport with my pregnant growing belly and my black cat, Athena. I met a guy who I thought was a nice guy. We got married. He turned out not to be a nice guy, but we had 2 more kids, and I had 3 kids at the age of 22. We were doing our grocery shopping at the local food bank, and I was boiling water in order to give my kids baths. And one day, my oldest daughter was hungry and she wanted something to eat, and I had a single can of tomato soup and she hated it. And I picked it up, and she started crying and having a fit because she didn't want to eat tomato soup. And I remember I picked her up and I pretty much shoved her head into the cupboard to show her that that was the only thing I had in the house to feed her. And it was then that I decided I was done with that life. And so I negotiated a new one for myself. I left my not so nice husband. I got an education. I went to a community college, got a 4-year scholarship to an engineering school called Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, and was the first woman to graduate as a single mom and a full-time student. I landed an amazing job working for what was then Bell Atlantic. Now it's Verizon. And I started doing international mergers and acquisitions, traveling all over the world, working mostly in Eastern and Western Europe and Southeast Asia. And I fell in love with negotiation. I was working on a deal in Belgium, and we were trying to buy the Belgian telephone company. And I had to get something like 30 or 40 senior executives from investment banks and companies and government to agree to a number that we were going to buy this company for. And I did it. And I was 28 years old, and I was like in heaven. And I knew that negotiation was something that I was going to have to be part of everything I did. And it was after that that I decided I needed my MBA and was accepted to Harvard. And when I graduated, I kept working with Fortune 500s. But the problem is that Fortune 500 companies have lots of resources, and everybody who works in one is a specialist in something. But I'm from North Central Montana, and my parents are small business owners, and small business owners don't have the resources. So automatically there's a disadvantage at play because you don't have the level of knowledge and the training that a big company has when they're doing a negotiation. And so that's why I started Venn Negotiation, where we provide programs like our Negotiation Mastery Program, which is a 2-day program where we get into the details and you practice negotiation, because it's like public speaking. We don't get trained enough and we don't practice it enough. So let me ask you a question. Why do you think more people are not brilliant negotiators? And then let me ask, do you think you are a brilliant negotiator? So the thing is that training is the number one reason why people aren't brilliant negotiators. From the time we're little, like I said earlier, and if you have kids, you know, children are amazing negotiators because they're fearless and they have nobody's ever, they're just starting to learn the word that's a very, very short word, but is also a complete full stop sentence. And that word is no. And the problem is that we learn no, as we hear it more and more, we become more, we get into our heads and we say, well, if I ask that, they're going to say no. And so then we just quit asking. So what are the three things that are critical in being able to win at negotiation all the time? One is you have to know what to ask for. That is one of the biggest challenges that people have, is they just don't know what to ask for. And if you're trying to get something from another person and you don't have clarity on what it is that you're asking for, I guarantee you won't get it. The biggest negotiation effort that takes place is the negotiation that goes on between our two ears, and what we negotiate with ourselves matters. Once you know what you're going to negotiate for, you need to know why is that important to you? What are the drivers for that? That becomes those become your trade-offs and the things that you're going to give and take on. And if you don't have your what's prioritized, then you may give away something that ended up being really important. Then you need to know how important it is going to, how it is going to impact your counterpart. This is a step that lots of people forget. They get so focused on me that they don't pay any attention to how probable or not it is for their counterpart. I knew when I bought 2 cars for the price of one plus $5,000 that it was doable that a dealer could sell me 2 cars for the price of one. And so I was wrong in my math and I had to add $5,000 to my number. But if you know what you want, why you want it, and what it means and how it impacts your counterpart, you too could get 2 cars for the price of one. And in our programs, we teach you how to do that. Then once you know what you want, then it's how you're going to ask for something. The how matters. How we communicate matters. So I break communication out into 2 basic styles. You have a traditional communicator and a modern communicator. A traditional communicator is somebody who's kind of old-fashioned, old-school business, does business on a handshake, likes structure and meetings and emails and all that good stuff, tends to be more risk-adverse, likes process and structure. A modern communicator pretty much hates all those things. They like bulleted communications, texts. They hate meetings, and especially if they don't have decisions that come out of it or actions that come out of it. And the reason why it's important for you, one, to know your communication style, but also your counterparts, is because when you're negotiating is about getting a series of wins. And every initial win you can get at the beginning matters. And so when you're communicating, if you're a traditional communicator, and I'm a modern communicator. So if you're a traditional communicator trying to send me a 5-page or a 5-paragraph email and you actually think I'm going to read it, you've already missed the mark and created a problem and created an opportunity to not have agreement. It would be so much easier to change that communication style to match so that you're getting agreement. Then there are 4 negotiation styles. And these styles, everyone, if you were a child, and we all were, you all used every one of these communication styles. Sometimes it's a champion where you are in battle and you are armed and armored, and negotiation is about conquering your opponent. Sometimes it's about a list and making a list and checking it and making sure that you get as many items on the list as you possibly can. Sometimes it's about being a benefactor, where it's all about the relationship and everything you do is about the relationship. And sometimes it's about being an ambassador and collaborating and creating joint opportunities for resolution of a conflict and an issue. Every one of these styles has a place in negotiation, and we all default to one of those styles. And when I talked about how we are not trained to negotiate, this is an area that's huge. And in our negotiation mastery class, we go deep into this. And in the renegotiate that webinar that you actually can take just by texting renegotiate to 26786. You'll be able to take that webinar. Then you will learn more about these negotiation styles. And the fact is that even though we use all of them, we don't know when we should be using them. So we practice that, and you start to learn more about that. So now you know what to ask for, how to ask for it. Now you got to make sure you're going to get it, right? And you've got to make sure you're giving what you told your counterpart you were going to give. And we do that through contracts, formal and informal contracts. And contracts, no matter whether they're formal, which is something that typically a lawyer does, or informal, they could be written on the back of a napkin and it's still a binding contract. But the reality is that contracts are risk mitigation tools, and there are 5 main risks. And in the Renegotiate That webinar, you'll learn some about what those 5 main risks are. They're cash flow, profitability, operations, strategy, and legal. And you notice out of all of them, there are 5 risks. Only one of them is legal. 80% of what's in your contract is about your business, not about law. So don't abdicate your business to your attorney. They don't know your business the way you do. And in the negotiation mastery class, we talk about that. And in the other thing that's important about those risks is that those risks are what then drive renegotiation. Who here believes that in a customer for a lifetime? If you do, then renegotiation better be part of your strategy. My amazing husband and I have been married for 27 years, and the deal that we entered into 27 years ago is not entirely the same as it is today. So therefore, you have to be prepared to renegotiate, and that's true in business too. And those 5 risk factors drive renegotiation. So why do I do this? When I decided to go to Harvard, I had just a few weeks prior to that quit living in the back of my car and was pregnant with my oldest daughter. And I went to the welfare office for the first time, and they said to me, "What is it that you want to do?" And I said, "I'm going to Harvard." And they laughed at me, and people laughed at me every single step of the way. And it took me 10 years to go from living in the back of that car to getting to having my daughters walk across stage with me at Harvard Business School. But I can tell you, and so the reason why this is important is because I want you, the playing field to be leveled for you in a way that it wasn't level for me. And so and to me, negotiating both with myself and with others is the critical key element of being able to achieve your goals and objectives for yourself and for your business. And so like I said, if you text renegotiate to 26786, you will be able to get the Renegotiate That webinar, where you're going to learn about what some of the differences are between negotiation and renegotiation. And you're going to learn more detail around how those risk factors I talked to drive renegotiation. And you're going to learn a little bit more around the styles and how that matters. And you're going to learn about engagement. And we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening in our current pandemic environment, because renegotiation is a huge thing. Not only do we do programs, but we provide negotiation services to clients. And we work with dozens of clients across the globe, helping them to renegotiate contracts. And we're doing a lot of renegotiation work right now in this current environment. So I am so excited to be here. I am really looking forward to talking to you. Once you text renegotiate to 26786, not only will you get the free webinar, but you'll also get my 7 essential elements to successful negotiation, and you'll be able to take a quiz to learn your default negotiation style. And as Bill mentioned, you'll also be able to set up a 30-minute consultation with me. I really look forward to meeting you. Thank you again, Bill.
You did an awesome job. Thank you so much for being on the broadcast with us today. Absolutely priceless. You know, if you guys didn't get content there and value there, I don't know what you're doing. But I will tell you this, that every client that I've sent to work with Christine, anyone that's watched her and learned from her, they love it. So I know you're going to love it too. Well, let's shift gears quickly. I hope you enjoyed that session. I want to thank everyone again for plugging in today. And don't forget, at the end of the broadcast, I've got a special gift for everyone that stays till the very end, valued at over $297. You do not want to miss this special gift. This will not be rebroadcast. This is all for you today. So let me just tell you about our next speaker. She's very gifted as well. She is someone that has spent most of her career helping some of the biggest names in the industry bring their message out to the universe. And I'm talking about big names. She loves helping you discover how to monetize your message. How do you take your gift? How do you take what you're great at, bring it to the world, and get paid while you sleep? How many here today would like to get paid while you sleep? If you'd like to get paid while you sleep, put a number 1 in the chat box. Pop a big number 1 in the chat box. She spent a number of years with the industry leader, Nightingale Conant. Thanks, Al. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, A. Because again, I learned that if you're going to do something, learn from the best in class. She lives this every day. She now, believe it or not, is really excited to take her message. She did it for all these amazing superstars. Now she wants to do it for you. So if you're listening today and you've got a message that you know needs to be brought to the world, she can help you with your book, your workbook, your story, your messaging, your recordings, A to Z, soup to nuts, to help you take your message, your gift to the universe and get paid for it. So I want to reach out. I want to make sure we've got Theresa Puskar. Are you out there somewhere? I see you somewhere in the broadcast here.
I am here.
Let me try to bring Theresa in here. 1 second. I'll put her on the spotlight video. So Theresa, thank you so much. I'm going to bring you on the spotlight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll turn the broadcast over to you. Go right ahead.
Hi, friends. Thank you so much, Bill, for that wonderful introduction. He talked about making money sleeping. I tell you, when you're in Bill's presence, you will not sleep. I don't know if he sleeps at night. He's such a go-getter. So thank you, Bill. And thank you to my wonderful, wise colleagues. It's wonderful to be here with you today. So I have a question for you. Actually, I have a couple of them. How many of you have a book up here? How many of you would love to get that book out and say someday? Or perhaps you believe you are a rock star in your industry. You know it. A lot of genius up here, but you don't know where to begin to get that message out. Type 1 if you got a book or a book idea. And let me say something. You know, when people say type 1 in chats, I always on these summits get a little bit, what's going to happen here? I kind of want to be secret. I want to hide. So I encourage you. We're not going to bite you. But it does let us engage with you. But how many of you have a book idea or know you've got so much information here you want to give the world, you just don't know where to begin? So here I am, and I have a wonderful history. If you don't mind, I'd like to take a few minutes to share my story with you. So I started out as an actress at a very early age. I did stage and television. My great claim to fame was being swarmed by 60,000 bees on the X-Files. And of course, everybody assumes that those bees were computerized. They weren't. They were live. I mean, we had beekeepers on the sets. All the techies were wearing all that bee stuff, except for Kim Manners, the director who sat there with a cigar and was totally unprotected. They yelled action, and these guys shook these massive boxes of bees. I tell you, I didn't have to do any acting. I just screamed and yelled and ran all over the place. Anyway, I started at stage, and then I got to a point in my life where I'm like, what now? And I said, okay, universe, I am ready for something different. But I want something that's using my skills as a writer, as a director, as a producer, as a creative, and in the healing arts. It's a long story, but it suffices to say, a couple months later, I ended up in Chicago from Vancouver, Canada, at Nightingale Conant Corporation. I was to be a counselor at a weekend event. I walked the halls, and I just knew I was meant to be there. Next thing you know, I said, I want to work for you guys. And I ended up working there. I was a director of coaching programs at the beginning, did a lot of curriculum for our favorites, Brian Tracy, Jay Abraham, some of the wonderful authors you know and love. And I ended up saying after a couple of years, I want to produce. And magically, I got into that position, and they had me producing audio books with my very favorite motivational authors. I thought there was nothing I would love as much as acting, and I loved it as much, if not more. Then it came to a point in my life where when I was 3 months pregnant, at the age of 39, almost 40, I got into a massive car crash. And that car crash was a wake-up call. I had 700 stitches to re-adhere my scalp. no local anesthetic because I knew I had the baby in there. For 5 hours, the surgeon was ouch, ouch, ouch with every stitch. But what that did for me, that so-called accident that I don't believe was an accident, it really opened my heart. I started becoming present and aware, and it shifted me to kind of go, what are my priorities? And I realized my heart was closed, very much so. Not fully, but a lot. So I went, okay, I got to open this heart and say yes to my life. I ended up leaving Nightingale Conant. I ended up leaving corporate America, starting my own thing. And I have to say that what happened was extraordinary. I ended up doing a one-woman show. I toured it to New York. I was on Broadway with it, LA, Florida, Toronto, all over, and to great critical acclaim. And I got to tell my story and share my own personal journey with the audiences. I also wrote 2 books for G&D Media, one on business mindfulness and one on personal. And on those books, I got to write and share my stories and create exercises and practical applications to help the readers to move forward. I got to do that. I've got to do so much. I started living the dream. And now I'm here to share with you. So I'd like to tell you, what is my passion? My passion is about helping others mine for the gold that's within you. You all have a story, I know you do. And so what question I have for you is, why don't people monetize their stories? What's in their why? I believe that actually you don't believe that you have enough to share. When I was a producer at Nightingale, I was working with Fortune 500. I was working with New York Times bestselling authors. And people would come to me and say, oh, I always had these ideas, but you know, who am I? We are all epic heroes with our own life journeys. And so what you need to do first and foremost, you have to identify your value. You have to know what makes you unique, and you have to start saying yes to yourself. And one of the things I offer is a life inventory process that takes you through your life so you can start cultivating what is my key message and what are the peripherals. And if you go and you opt in right now to 866-920-4020, you can actually get a copy of that life inventory process. You opt in Alchemist, that's the word. So it's Al and Chemist, Alchemist to that number. You can actually get that process as well as a 20 to 30 minute coaching session with me. So we can talk about what is it, what's your message, what's getting in the way, and how we can move you forward. So that's one thing. So your story does matter. And how many of you have actually visualized yourself getting where you want, being on stages, writing those books, having people walk up to you on the street and say, oh my gosh, you changed my life? If you haven't visualized it, you need to. And also you need a plan. You need to set goals and strategies as to when that's going to happen. And the thing is, you know, your stories matter too. Let me tell you, I had one gentleman, I coached a client on writing a book. And he kept getting emphatic and said, Theresa, I don't want to do the stories and anecdotes. I just want to get to the practical application, the meat. I said, you really need those stories. Those stories matter. They touch our hearts. What he ended up doing was saying, he came back to me about 5 years later and said, Therese, can you help me rewrite my book? I need the stories. Yes, you do. You have them though. You think about it. When we get off this call, I suggest you start writing a list of those key pivotal moments, those stories in your life that made a difference. And then what I do with my Ultimate Influencer program, I help you to mine for that gold. I help you to structure it, to systematically put it together. And I have such an easy way of doing it. I'm really excited to share that with you. Another thing though, too, is getting to market. You know, it's a question of pivotal points in your life, and then how do you communicate? I had one author, he was, well, I'll say this, he was not an author. He knew, he was the first to admit, I'm not a writer. I love to speak, I love to share my stories, and he was passionate about one of the world's greatest billionaires. His passion drove him into our studio, and he said, I am not a writer, but he knew. So what happened is in 2 days, I outlined the program. We went into the studio for 2 days through question and answer sessions, recordings. I got information from him, got that, transcribes, hands it over to his publisher, and says, there's my book. So you might say, I'm not a writer. I'm a storyteller. Who am I? You don't have to be a writer. With my process, there's ways around getting there. Another thing is some of you might know Wayne Dyer, the late Wayne Dyer. He was one of the most brilliant authors in studio. Let me tell you something that he did. When he was in the studio, he asked for a couch. He did not want plans. He did not choose to have an outline. We set up a couch in the studio, and stream of consciousness, this man for 2 days recorded his audiobook. Brilliant. So we all have our different styles, our different methodologies, what works for us. We have to know what those are, and I'll help you mine for that. So again, if you chat or text in Alchemist to 866-920-4020, you can talk to me about that, and we can share a bit, again, a coaching session to talk about you, what matters to you, what your key messaging is, so that you can get to the next level. Another thing is about becoming a legend. It's about making soul connection. You want to leave a legacy when you leave this world, right? What is the message, whether it's for your family, whether you're a Fortune 500 CEO, whatever the case may be, you want to leave your message and become that rock star in your world. So there's ways to do that. And one thing I did notice I want to share with you, when I was in Nightingale all those years with those New York Times bestselling authors, their passion drove them. Whenever, and I've learned from them, and I get into my ego plenty. I got a big, huge ego. But what happens is when I get into that fear, into that oh no, into that what is me, or get grandiose about myself, I stop. And I ask myself this question: how may I serve? When you go to that place of service, when you go to the place of wanting to help in the world, that's when things start to move. And you get out of this crazy head and into your heart. And that's where I am with you. That's why I'm here. For me, I'm passionate about your passion. I'm sure you can feel it. When I left acting, I thought I'd find nothing I loved as much more. Being in the studio with those authors, pulling their soul messages out, and then turning that into a book, into a workbook, into an audio. And I also do stage work for people. Oh, it was heaven. I would leave the studio buzzing, and so would they. So I look forward to sharing that with you. What will you come out with when you work with me? Well, let me tell you. You can end up having your book, and it's so crazy easy. Literally, we spend time outlining, we go to studio, we record it, boom, there's the work. You get somebody to do some editing and cleaning up, you've got your book. We also create workbooks. I help you with stage and storytelling. Like I said, I used to be an actor, so I animate. It's not so storytelling. I can tell you a narrative, or I can jump into some fun animation and actually become my characters. So all of that is available to you when we connect, and you connect with myself and my team. So let me tell you about my offer. Now I'm going to take a chance here. I'm not sure if you can see this. This is my offer. So it's called the Ultimate Influencer System. So if you take a look, I offer a 12-week webinar. The regular price is $19.97. It's going to be for $9.97 for people that are on this call. You have access to my private community. That is worth $9.97. We get together constantly and frequently, because doing this stuff alone, it just ain't the same. You really need community. You also have access to my 24/7 visual training library. I have videos and stories and how-tos with some of the famous authors, CEOs, and people I've worked with. You have a weekly training sessions. You have you know what, guys, I'm trying to read this backwards. It's not working. So access to the monthly newsletters. You have copies of my 2 books. And of course, you get that 30-minute strategy call with me. All of that for $19.97. But if you're on the fence and you're not sure, I would encourage you to have that call. Spend that 30 minutes with me, and at the least, you and I can start the ball rolling, so that when you are ready to tell your story, you'll know who to go to and how to do it. It's not crazy. It's not heavy brain work. When you get to your passion, when you get to your heart, when you have people working with you that have been there and done that, it's so easy. And you end up leaving this world with something that affects others. Because let me end this with this. Our world is in a bit of a crazy mess right now, isn't it? We are being called, I believe, to raise the energy of the world, to raise the consciousness. You living your dream will actually do that. You will put good energy in the world. It's good for yourself and the world. So I encourage you to join me again, Alchemist, to 866-920-4020. Thank you so much.
Way to rock the stage. Awesome, awesome job. You know, I don't know if you guys got all that, but that was just incredible. I think I've got a green screen now popping up, so you're seeing like a blaze of light for me. Let me see if I can get rid of the blaze of light.
Shall I keep talking, Bill?
Somehow it gave me a crazy, crazy background. No, it's okay. We're fine. Don't worry. I'll figure it out. This is not my first rodeo. When something goes wrong, what do? You just keep going, everybody. Well, let me tell you something. You just heard it from one that's worked with some of the biggest names in the world when it comes to getting their message out there. And so if you get your text opted in, get a call set up with her, maybe you can take advantage of that pricing today. No reason to wait. You know, I know that she usually works with just a handful of clients per month, and if you do it right away, maybe you won't be on the waiting list. But she's definitely someone you want to work with and get a chance to spend some time with. And she did a fabulous job. In 20 minutes, you just knocked it out of the park. Way to go, Theresa. Well, let's shift gears and talk about how to revision your vision. See, what I realized a long time ago, that either you're on track or you're off track. And vision is really the equalizer of those that really play at the highest level, because you can motivate people. And if you motivate idiots, you got motivated idiots. And you know they're not going to go anywhere. They're going to wind up in a place called Busyville. Well, our next guest that's going to share with you for 20 minutes, a real powerful understanding how it is to have a vision so big that it scares you, that it pulls you outside the comfort zone. How important health is. How important taking ownership of your health is to really be able to achieve that vision. Because, you know, if you don't have the right tools and processes in place, there's no way to get there. And I will tell you that this individual for more than 20 plus years has been helping people really understand the power of taking ownership of their health. She's also an incredible entrepreneur, loves to give back, always about charity. But in this space, she knows 100% of the information. She lives it every day. She's been able to travel the world, work with lots of great people. And today we have her here live, where she's going to share with you some incredible secrets and also give away a complimentary coaching session so you can work with her. I want to bring her in live today. Do we have Cynthia Hillson somewhere here? I know you're on the stream here somewhere. Let me try to spotlight you real quick. Hang on a second here. There we go. We're getting there. Yeah, go ahead. Just start talking. We got you there.
Okay. Well, thank you, Bill Walsh. You know, you changed my life when I met you last year.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody who's on here today for taking special time to be with us at this improv. Oh, one thing, there we go. Is that better?
Much better.
Okay, so taking a hard look of my businesses, my personal life, and to do some other fun things that I normally would not have time to do. So why did it take COVID-19 for me to revisit my vision? I now realize that I should make this a yearly practice, so my company can not only survive, but thrive abundantly. You know, the book of Proverbs tells us, where there is no vision, the people perish. When you look at your vision, it will help you step back, evaluate, and leap forward with clarity and purpose. Today, I'm going to offer you a 20 to 30-minute conversation with me. Together, we can work on ways for you to revision your vision. Also, if you want some all-natural ways to reduce stress, we can talk about that also. That's been my passion for 40 years. To set up your call, you can text the word garden to 26786. That's garden, Garden. We only have a little short time today. And I'm going to give you 3 secrets that will reignite the vision of your product, service, or program. And before I begin sharing the 3 secrets to revision your vision, I would like to take a few moments to share a bit of my story. You see, in my business life, I have had many great successes. From being in Women's Day magazine and on the Phil Donahue show, Television Food Network, I mean, it goes on and on and on. And not, you know, let's just say, oh, and the stack of not so successful things did not stop me. And yes, I've had a lot of tears. In 2015, I was kind of gutsy and opened up a small retail outlet, which is now closed. It was costly, but the passion behind it is so dear in my heart it remains that I want to help others. So I believe the lessons learned from failure can motivate you to pick yourself up, evaluate where you are, what your vision is, and find the path of your passion. You know, I don't want to leave this world or in my life unfulfilled and not living up to my full potential. So, you know, I've picked myself up more than one time, and I use my own secrets to bring clarity and confidence as I rewrote my vision. I know that I had not failed, but I learned. And I'm excited about the rebranding and rebuilding of my company and the team that I have put together. We're going to be successful. So I want to share some important steps that I have created to revision my vision for the next 3 to 5 years. But first, let me ask a question. Why don't most people achieve their big goals and vision? You might agree that often a written vision has not been part of their life. You know, we only have 45 minutes today to address the reasons, or excuse me, we only have 20 minutes today to what's holding you back from your greatness. So let's start. Secret number 1, declutter. You have to declutter your home, your office, your computer, and your phone. Since so many of us are at home today and we're on that phone and computer, start making all those little files. And also don't forget to trash a few things. Make it easy to get into what you are looking for the day. In decluttering, I want you to weed out those people who kind of hold you back. And I want to grow closer to your inner friends. Also, I want you to do a mind dump. Get rid of the negative and add the positive with gratitude. Now, I think I still have a few minutes, but I want to share an exercise that I did. I think it was in April. I joined a little group, and it was a personal development group. And what our question was, make a list of 50 people. They could be living or they could have passed on. How they have influenced your life. So I wrote a number of people who have passed on, and then I started thinking all the different relationships and places I've traveled and I've met through the years, and I added these people to my list. Then I went one step further. I thought, if you turn on the news and everything's so negative, how can I be the rainbow in someone's cloud right now? So I started sending out encouraging cards by surprise in the mail. And the response, I would just love to read you some of the things that people have written me back. How the timeliness of the card coming, how did you know that I wasn't feeling so well? Oh, we haven't talked in so long, and it's just rekindled some things. So with gratitude, I really have looked back on my life, and some of you watching here today are a large part of this. So the mind dump and getting rid of the negative, add the positive. How can you be the rainbow in somebody's cloud? All right, secret number 2, we've got to overcome some obstacles. We've got to define what is holding you back. Is it fear, finances, Is there some family things that are holding you back? Are there some friends or acquaintances? Well, listen, I want you to believe in yourself. You see, there is only one of you. There is no one else that has your unique gifts and talents. Don't doubt what you can do. I want you to be the best version of yourself, just like this t-shirt says, be the best version of yourself. Put that on and motivate yourself. In business, you need to build your team. Who's going to help you? I met Bill Walsh. He's my business coach. I have a new travel aromatherapy product, and I've got a marketing partner named Bob Sarcosta. I have now an administrative assistant. I'm searching for the right social media specialist, and I've really got a good banker and financial advisor. Secret number 3, it's time to learn and relearn. I really suggest reading success stories where multiple failures did not stop them from achieving great success. Think of Henry Ford, Edison, Steve Jobs, Colonel Sanders, and even Napoleon Hill. They're just a few people. They failed, they picked themselves up. Reading Napoleon Hill's books, Think and Grow Rich and Law of Success are really great places to start. Learn from your loyal customers and clients. They will help you formulate and put an A+ vision in place for your product and services. Study something that you've never studied before. So if I can give you a short history lesson, because Bill, I don't know how much time we have left, but one thing I wanted to do was during my little time down, I wanted to learn a little bit more about what's on our currency. And I have a larger program and introduction to that, but I want to talk about something that's dear to my heart. When I do events, I price things $18, $28, $48. So if they pay me cash, I can give them back a $2 bill. This is a very interesting bill. In 1966, they quit printing those. In 1976, which was the year I graduated from high school, it was the 200-year anniversary of the United States of America. They began to print the $2 bill again. Now you see, Thomas Jefferson is on the front. He was the committee on the Committee of 5 that wrote the Declaration of Independence. The other 4 committee members, Benjamin Franklin and John Adams and Robert and I forget the other guy, other name, they chose this young Thomas Jefferson to be the first author of the Declaration of Independence, which was the cry to get away from Britain. On the back of the $2 bill is the rendering. There is I think it's 49 faces here, but actually there was 56 signers to the Declaration of Independence. Now, this is what I want you to take away today with this portion of history. Did you realize that after 17 days of Thomas Jefferson drafting the Declaration of Independence, there were 86 revisions? 86. They did it and put all of it together to be some words that people say is some of the best writing that has ever done. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. What I want to encourage you today is you can revise your vision. It took 86 times in our history lesson. It might take you 87 times. It might take 7 times. I've now drafted something that I really believe I can leave as a legacy. Okay. My secret number 4 is my why. I'm an extremely fortunate woman. I have a husband of 40 years. My family is large with 6 grown children, and they're all on their own. And I love being grandma to 8. I am honored to be on an educational committee in Israel where my love and passion of ancient healing plants will be established in what is called the Garden of the Ages. It's located at Biblical Tamar Park, about an hour south of the Dead Sea. We're planting the ancient balm of Gilead, myrrh, and frankincense for both health and pleasure. Now, some of the results when people work with me, they get a better self-appreciation of the person that they are. They gain greater confidence. Also, we talk about some of the stresses of life, and those are many: physical, financial, social, relationships, and emotional. I give you suggestions of healthy ways how to manage these stresses. And I also believe that you will have a greater commitment to yourself, your values, your family, your community, your friends, and your dreams. Now, how many are ready to be even more confident with your dreams, goals, and the visions of your business and family? If this is you, you can text the word garden to 26786. That's the word garden, GARDEN, to 26786. Bill, Power Team, and all of you that have taken your very precious time to be with us, thank you so much. I look forward to having a 20 or 30-minute conversation with you. We can talk about your vision, or we can talk about tinctures and herbs and teas and essential oils and all those things. Thank you very much, Bill, for your time.
You did a great job. I want to thank you for all your hard work and all your dedication, and certainly for being here today. Everybody thinks this is easy until they have to do it. So I just want to say a big thanks, Cynthia, and you can just you can mute your thing and turn your volume down. I just want to make sure you understand that when you get a chance to work with any of our speakers so far, they all play at the top of their game. They're here doing this, giving away the value, you know, and they all have courses and programs you can take participation in. And some of them gave some prices, some didn't, but I'll tell you this, they have a special for those that text in right now. So text in, get the time with them right now. And believe me, it's incredible how much you can do with that. But you've got to understand that no matter where you're at in your business, today really is the time to go up to a whole different level. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to let you really understand how powerful, what it means like to own that business, run that business, take ownership of that business. Because I do know that when you have these things in line and in motion, I want you to write this down, that you can become unstoppable. So some of the tips you've got there that were shared with you, you know, from Cynthia and some of the things they're working on, this is life's work that you get a chance to access and get tuned into for just doing a simple text opt-in. So whether it's taking your message to stage or becoming a more effective communicator or really understanding how to revision your vision, you got nothing to lose but take the 20 minutes to get some great time with them. And if they have a course or program that fits where you're going, I highly recommend you take advantage of it, because I've gotten to know all of these individuals pretty well, and they're dynamic superstars in their realm, in their niche. I will tell you this, that our next speaker is someone that I had a chance to meet not that long ago, less than a year ago. And we had such a powerful conversation that day. He said, I know I need to be on stages. I know I have a passion to speak and sell from stages. I know that my story's too big to play small. I know I've done all the things that I like to do in the linear income world, but now it's time to really step out into getting paid to serve the masses. And I will tell you this, that he's a genius in the space that he's in. He really focuses on helping people get out of debt. So if anyone's listening that's got some debt, I want to make sure you take really copious notes for our next speaker. And if you really have a passion to take your income to a whole different level, if you like the idea of financial freedom type income, you really have to pay attention to his notes, get time with him, whether it's through opt-in or a direct enrollment to his course or his program, because I promise you this, you're going to love it. He is just that good. So let me see if I've got Lamonte on the screen here somewhere. Lamonte, are you with us here somewhere? Let me see if I can bring you into the screen. There we go. Look at that. I'm going to bring you over here for a second. I think you might still be muted, so you might want to unmute yourself, or I can unmute you. There you go. I got you live now. Lamonte, how are you?
I'm doing great.
I'm going to turn this
Glad to
over
be
to you. You can actually do the screen share now. It has the ability for multiple to screen share. So you should be able to actually share your screen. So with that, everyone give a nice round of applause. Come on, give it up. We've got Lamont live on the broadcast today with our Success Masters. Go ahead, Lamont. It's all to you.
Awesome. Awesome. Let me just get the technology right here. How's everyone doing today? Can everyone see my screen?
We can see it, yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, first, I just want to just say I'm super excited to be here. I like to present with slides and share, but I also like it to be as interactive as possible.
Testimonials.
So I may be asking you to join in and make some comments
make a point,
if you can. And I want to start out with a brief icebreaker, but I would
Otherwise,
be
you've lost the impact of the
if I
story.
didn't first thank Bill
okay.
Walsh and the entire Powerteam International.
And we're at 32 members, just so you know, watching today.
Event. It's been great.
32 participants in less than
giving me the opportunity to speak about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is financial freedom. And so, for those of you that are on the call, how many of you
just, you know, it's not about meeting with you, it's about taking
financial
the time,
freedom actually is, or have an idea of what it might be? Because I know
so the first thing is
probably it's a term that you've heard a lot. It's going around, but when I speak about it today,
but you got to give the pricing.
I really want you to all be on the same page, right? And so when I think about financial freedom, I really define it as the elimination of all bad debt and the creation of both passive and residual income streams that can take care of your basic needs. So that's your clothes, shelter, food, all of that good stuff. Great. So with the next piece behind that is you also want to ultimately, sorry, having a little bit of a technical is it. You also want to know the components of it that create basically financial freedom. So what do you need? You need to first have the right mindset, right? And you need to have the mindset that's able to create abundance in your life, right? So how many of you would like to have and be able to create a mindset that's able to give you financial abundance? Just go ahead and type a 1 in the comment section if that's you. The next item is budgeting, right? And many people probably frown on this, but not only do you need to be able to budget, but you need to be able to operate at a budget surplus, which really means that you're creating excess income to be able to put towards your financial goals, whatever that might be. The next thing is debt, right? Having an understanding around debt, and not just any type of debt, but the difference between good and bad debt and being able to eliminate that. What about passive income? Do you know what passive income is? Ultimately, that's anytime you own an asset that's able to give you income from that, right? So you don't have to do too much for that actual income. And the last item really is around creating residual income. Does anyone on the call know what residual income is or like to create that in their lives, right? And so what residual income really is, because I know sometimes it's another term that's often used, but sometimes misunderstood. It's when you work for a short period of time and you get paid for that work over and over again, right? So how many of you would like to create residual income, work once and get paid over and over? Just go ahead and type 1 if that's you. And so after being able to create that financial freedom for myself, me and the team developed the Financial Freedom Accelerator program. And we'll talk about that. But what that is it's a program, 12-week group coaching program that will give you all of these items, right? And it's a great thing. But before I go into the real details of the story, because I only have 20 minutes today, would it be all right if I shared a little bit about my story and how we came around the whole program? As you can see, I'm a visual person, right? And so I developed this 3D framework for freedom. And you may be looking at the slide and saying, well, 3D framework, there's 5 sections, what's going on? And that's because everyone is really on the first 2 sections. And I went ahead and aligned this to my life to make it easier. And so wouldn't you agree that in the early part of our lives is where we develop our beliefs, right? And so for me, a house fire that happened when I was 16 kind of gave me the irrational fear of never having enough money and not having control over my life. And the only way that I knew to get out of that was to go on and go to good schools and to achieve as a means to get more money, right? Be able to be okay. And then the second section, you might look at it and note to say, oh, well, it says imprisonment. Well, I think that's where many of us kind of live our lives, in a prison by our own designs, right? We're living lives with our own limiting beliefs and what we needed to do. And oftentimes we're just okay, right? You may be in a job that's good, you're good at making a decent living, but there's some piece that's missing. Something is just not quite right. So you're always slightly unhappy, but maybe not disenfranchised enough to make a big major change. And so as I think about what that meant for me, I went off, worked really hard to go to Duke, then to Harvard, was on Wall Street, worked my way up the corporate ladder to become an executive. But it wasn't until my nephew died at the tender age of 24 that I had a wake-up call, right? My family, I see my sisters on, actually would joke about me only being around for birthdays and funerals, which was terrible. And it wasn't until then that I personally had to take some time and change my life. I took a personal development program, which really helped me understand what limiting beliefs I had, and it gave me the ability to get clear around my goals, which then enabled me to really get focused, right? And for the next part, it goes into that first D was discover your prison, right? That's where I was. But then during the next few years of my life, I was able to live life fueled by purpose, right? I was able to get rid of all of my debt, develop passive and residual income, and then ultimately where I am now, you know, doing it consistently, living a life of financial freedom, but more importantly, helping people develop their own financial freedom and whatever that means for them, because financial freedom is different for everybody, right? And so when I think about that, you know, the big question that I'm asked all the time is like, well, why don't people achieve financial freedom? What's really the core things that are stopping people? And if you have some ideas, go ahead and type them in the comments to give you some ideas. Because ultimately, through all of the work that I've been doing, there's really three key things. The first one is mindset, right? Many of us are stuck with the perspectives that we are grown up with. So unless you were fortunate enough to grow up and be a trust fund baby, or your last name is Rockefeller or Hilton, right? You haven't been surrounded with people that have the mindset of financial abundance. So the likelihood that you're able to create that for yourself is slim. The next item is really around vision. Many of us don't have a vision for our financial future. So how could we go about our daily lives expecting to create it? And then the last one is action. As I mentioned before, most people, the biggest problem for us is inaction, right? We're not uncomfortable enough in whatever our circumstance is to really do anything to change it. And so unless we were brought up in a financially abundant family, then the likelihood of us changing that is slim to none, right? And so you may be asking, well, how do I ultimately help? Right? And that's really the thing. Me and my team are really committed towards addressing those same three items that we talked about before, right? So as you think about mindset, tying it back to the 3D framework, the first thing is really helping you unlock your own prison, right? Discovering what limiting beliefs that you have around money, finances that might be hurting you, might be detracting you from achieving your ultimate goals. And there's a big part about this that is in the subconscious, right? So we're the sum product of kind of all of our life experiences, all of the people and elements around us that kind of create the situation that we have today, right? And so you have to tap into the subconscious and really reprogram your behaviors to give you a different outcome. And then the last part is of that part of mindset is really around financial literacy. So, you know, many of us probably went to schools. I know I went to Duke, Harvard, but guess what? All the finance courses and econ classes that I took were all about business. They didn't teach you about personal finance. They didn't teach you about how to create your own budget surplus so that you can live a financially abundant lifestyle. So the next part is really around vision, right? And so how do we help around vision? Well, we help you define your path fueled by purpose, right? And so this is really big. So if you came from a background similar than mine, you know, you grew up with a certain idea of what kind of job you wanted to get. So for me, originally it was either I was going to be a doctor, a lawyer. I was good in science, so I figured, okay, maybe I should be a doctor. I went to Duke and very quickly realized that that wasn't for me. And so even after that experience, I still, for the better part of my adult life, kind of created goals based on what sounded good, right? What were my peers at Duke doing? What were my peers at Harvard doing? That was how I that was how I defined my level of success for a good portion of my life. And so it's not until you get to kind of unpack that and define what will make you personally happy, will you set goals that you'll actually try to achieve because it's important to you. The other thing is really around managing your atmosphere. And this is something that I didn't realize until I became aware of the type of energy that we emote in life. Have you ever been in a situation where someone kind of comes into the room and they light it up, right? Because they're energized and they're positive. And then on the opposite side, you have someone who can come in the room and they're what we call a negative Nancy, right? Everything out of their mouth is no or no, and I hate this or I hate that, right? Those people and those elements you should be aware of as it relates to your finances, right? Who's the person that every time they come to the room, they want to borrow money, or they don't like something else, or when you're trying to start a new venture, they're negative, right? Those aren't the people you want to have around you when you're trying to create financial abundance for yourself. And then the last part around doing action and doing it now is it's so important to create an emotional connection to your goals, right? What is going to get you out of your own head and enable you to act even when you don't want to, right? And then lastly, creating a level of accountability, right? So understanding what's going on. So now if you think that you could use help with any of these items, just go ahead and text Freedom 2020 to 26786, right? Once again, text Freedom 2020 to 26786. And I'll be able to help you with all of these items, and we'll have a consultation. So you may be asking, well, why is this important to me? What really drives kind of me every day, And it's really three things as I think about it. It's family and friends. This picture was taken this past Christmas. It's a picture of my siblings, actually. So you can see I come from a fairly large family, and a niece and nephew. And that's super important, right? And there was a time when I wasn't all that close with all of my family, right? And as I think about it, it wasn't until I became financially free, wasn't worried about so many things, could I just be? Could I just enjoy life and share it with those that I love? The other thing is around creating opportunities. I used to sing. Some people that know me, I think there may be a few people on the line that knew when I wanted to be an artist, but quickly realized that I didn't want to be a starving artist. Now I'm able to give back and create opportunities for artists to create and monetize on their talent, right? Something that is really important. And then lastly, just being able to have a wide and diverse impact of people, right? So this is just a picture of one of the cohorts that I was able to help facilitate and made some incredible results, right? Led this group to, be able to create over 6 figures in additional income. They released similarly over 6 figures in debt. And so imagine what kind of impact that has on their lives, being able to kind of see the ripple effect of my work is incredibly inspiring and impactful. And so you may be asking, just, you know, in more tangible words, what do people get when they work with me, right? And the team. And the first one is around, they get to develop a financial mindset, one that's capable of creating abundance. The other item that we focus on is really around releasing debt, right? And so if you have debt and you want to release it, like, what and how would that make you feel to no longer have that? Creating additional income, that's a super important one. Most of the time when people think about finances, right, they get stuck on the idea of, like, you know, how much money they make today as a given, right? That's not true. You know, that is one of the levers that you have to play with if you're open to it, if you're willing to it. And then the last one is probably the one that's most priceless, right? Being able to control your time. That's so important. And so today, what I'm really looking to do is to have a few people go ahead and opt in, text Freedom 2020 to 2678 and sign up for a free consultation, right? I'm interviewing you, and I hopefully that you'll be able to do it, right? What you'll get in that is a 12-week digital program with live group coaching, valued at over $19.98, right? But for those who sign up for a free consultation today, I will be waiving 50% off, right? And so what we'll be doing in that course is we'll be developing a financial mindset. We'll show you specifically how you can release your bad debt, as well as develop both passive and residual income streams to help you create the life of financial abundance that you would like. So once again, if anything that I've mentioned before really resonates with you, go ahead and start. You'll also get access to my Freedom Accelerator private network, which includes a newsletter and special events. And then, you know, the one thing that I always talked about is really around creating action now, right? And so when you think about financial freedom, which would you prefer? If you have a scarcity mindset today, wouldn't you rather have financial abundance? And if so, go ahead and text Freedom 2020 to 26786. Same thing. If you're currently burdened with debt, wouldn't you rather be debt-free? And if you're working a 9-to-5 or corporate job, right? Wouldn't you rather have money come in that you didn't have to work for all the time? And finally, if you're financially stressed and you have anxiety around money, wouldn't you rather have peace of mind and a comprehensive plan to get you there? So, as I mentioned before, the next cohort starts in just 2 weeks. Opt in by texting Freedom 2020 to 26786.
Lamont, you packed a lot in there in 20 minutes, my friend.
Thanks, I try.
Man, that was awesome. Way to give 1,000%. And once again, everybody, take advantage of this today. You're looking at a guy that lives everything he teaches, and he does it every day in and out. So if you're looking to create a little more financial freedom, if you're serious about getting the debt under control or out of the way, text Freedom 2020 right now to 26786. I just want to say thanks to all the speakers today. They've done an absolutely fabulous job. But I also want to say thanks to all the attendees. I do know that, you know, this was a last-minute event, and we got people on from, I don't know, 15 different cities in that little short period of time. So thanks, everyone, for plugging in and taking advantage of that. But I do want to do one more shout-out that all of these speakers gave you some great notes. But the most important thing you can do with the notes, with the ideas, the chat room, the chat area, right, is put it into motion. So often we get great intel, we get great ideas, but we don't take advantage of it. If you know for a fact you need help with getting your message out there, send a quick text to Theresa, right? Do it today, right now. If you need to become a better communicator with your business partner, your spouse, anyone in your life, get connected with Christine, because she lives it. If you're serious about taking your vision game up to a whole different level, find some time with Cynthia. I share this with you because I've watched individuals that learn a few great tips and then they don't put any of it into motion. You see, to me, that's a colossal waste of your time. When someone is putting a hand out there to give you an elevation plan up, you take advantage of it. When you get a chance to learn from those that live in a place that you'd like to be, you take advantage of it. You know for a fact if you've had goals for financial freedom, goals for residual income, and they haven't showed up and you had a goal for it last year, well, if you keep doing the same thing this year, you're going to get the same result. And I've watched people today really move into the insanity mode because of all the challenges we're facing right now. I know it's not easy out there. So if you're plugging in today, here's a couple of things that will help you get to your point a whole lot faster. And then, of course, take advantage of it. We're looking right now for leaders to run masterminds in cities across the country. We're looking for speakers and trainers and coaches. And if you think you might be up to becoming a coach with Powerteam, just text the letters SBA to 26786. Do it right now. Take out your phone, text the letters SBA to 26786. This is the perfect time to become a small business advisor. If you can use some extra income, if you're serious about helping other people, take out your phone now, text the letters SBA to 26786. Because I know for a fact that as many entrepreneurs are out there, they're struggling. It's not easy right now. They're going through challenging times. See, what I believe is that tough times don't last, tough people do. And if you're on the stream today, there's no doubt you're one of those leaders. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time today, but I also want to make sure that all the notes you wrote down, I took pages of notes, right? Go through the chat session, is that figure out which one of those applies to you. And I know there's some great things you can plug into. You got to elevate your mind daily. So go to this website called YouTube. Type in a name, Jim Rohn, J-I-M, and then R-O-H-N. Listen to Jim Rohn for 10 minutes a day. You will find whatever you feed your mind, it grows. Whatever you focus on, you become. But that starts with making a decision. And the decision to win starts long before the championship game ever comes to play. If you look at all the champions out there, I promise you, they do not sit home all day long and watch movies and sit on the couch. Someone says, well, how come Lamborghinis, how come they don't advertise on TV to sell their cars? How come you never see any ads on TV for Bugattis? And the guy from Bugatti said, because most people that drive Bugattis don't sit on the couch at home and watch a movie all day. So the idea is take what you've learned, put it into action. And it really is about having the right tools in place. Some of the coolest new tools I've found, write this one down, Mingle, MINGL.NO. Launch your first ever digital mobile business card for free. See, if you're not willing to expand and market yourself, why would someone else do it for you? This is a cool tool that lets you build databases globally for free, right from an app. So get it done. If you're going to create some videos, use Perfect Video now. Perfect Video is a free video integration that actually lets you edit your videos. And you should be releasing videos once a week, maybe these little 1-minute videos. Put them on your social media. Begin to get opt-ins like you've seen today. 95% of the population will open your text messages. About 5% will actually open your emails. So begin to move towards a digital world. That's why a digital mobile business card can be helpful for you growing your business. And then, of course, execute. Spell the name Mingle, MINGL.NO, MINGL.NO/Bill Walsh 360. Go check my site out. I've been using it for 2 years. It's a great tool. And guess how much it costs? Oh, that's right. It's free. You see, what most people don't do is they don't realize that if you'll put the right tools in motion, you can run while other people are crawling. You'll go by people, wonder why they're moving so slow. They're not moving so slow. You're just moving so fast because you got the best technology. And it's the same thing with the execution. Be willing to step outside your comfort zone and step and play at a much higher level. I'll tell you this, that the reason it's called the extra mile, and the reason it's called becoming extraordinary, they go together. Those that live in the extra mile where nobody's at has the best opportunity to become extraordinary in the space that you're in. A regular day 9 to 5 is not going to cut it. The fixing your videos is called Perfect Video, free. But the regular day is not going to cut it. They interviewed David, head of the Carlisle Group. And he said, if you work 9 to 5, he said, you're never going to make it big. He said, it's always the 2 hours before and the 2 hours after that create greatness for the entrepreneur. That's right. You pick which 12 hours a day you want to work, because that's the half-day principle for entrepreneurs. But he was so right, and he said he admitted to his mistakes, and I want you to admit to the times you've made mistakes. I can tell you guys, I've been broke and wealthy. Broke sucks. But you'll find out who your real friends are, yes or no. So if you'd like to team up with myself and our team and bring a message of hope and inspiration and passion and power and really understand what it takes to create incredible companies and have more fun and make more money, take out your phone right now. Text the letter SBA to 26786. I see a bunch of folks have already done it. Once again, SBA to 26786. If you'd like to run our masterminds, do some coaching for some of our clients and your clients, get plugged into a bigger system, a bigger team. Attend some of our masterminds. Come down to the Atlantis with us. Meet some of my business partners, some of my friends, get access to some of those groups. These groups are priceless. Whether it's some millionaires, maybe a couple of billionaires, I promise you, who you spend your time with, you will become. Because what you've learned about today is some really incredible content information, but if you don't act on it, it's a waste of your time. And I want to thank those guys that have already opted in. We'll be in touch with you the next 48 hours about how you can team up with us and work with our team. But I want to share with you one special gift before we close out today. If you want to get that gift we talked about today, I'm going to ask you to text the word success. That's right. Text the word success to 26786. And in the next 24 hours, you'll get a gift valued at $297. So text the word success right now to 26786 from your phone. Don't call back tomorrow, 24 hours later, and say, what about my gift? Too late. You don't text in right now, no gift for you. I do know for a fact that if you want to have more fun and you want to make more money, you got to be positioned to make a difference. You got to come from a big why. All of our speakers today, they talked about the big why. Why do they do what they do? They do it because they love it. They love helping people. They love getting the results, and they love seeing what I call the ripple effect in others. Focus on the ripple effect of your clients you serve and watch your business grow exponentially. So I just wanted to say to everybody today, and some of our team, Michelle's on, Cheryl's on. Thank you guys. You're absolute rock stars for jumping on and supporting the message today. I just want to tell you that there's no better day than right now. You're a miracle, and tomorrow's going to be one of the best days of your life if you schedule it. So schedule your success or plan your failure. Begin to really understand that you were born, you were destined for greatness. I don't care what people tell you. When you come out, they don't say, look, there's an average one. No, they say, look, there's a miracle. I just want to make sure I remind you that today, that you are a miracle and you have great things to do, and your story's too big to play small. So either become part of our team or do it on your own, but get teamed up with the speakers we had on here today, because they're all super gifted. They all have incredible messages, but it's up to you to take advantage of that. So once again, everybody, I love you guys. Thanks for plugging in. This broadcast is officially over. Thanks for jumping on the Success Masters call this week. We might have one more surprise call coming up this Friday. You just got to get tuned in. Make sure you get those texts and open them up. Look forward to seeing you real soon at a live event. We're coming to live events starting next month already, so get plugged in right away. Look at all the different things we've got on the schedule. We'll send you our schedule once you text the word success to 26786. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye for now. Thank you. Thanks, Justin. You rock, brother.